Right. Good morning. So we are starting the journey of the front back end development uh, this morning. So at this point, I want to assume that we have been able to develop our entire front end with 3 different languages application, such as the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So with that in mind, we can now start the journey of the back end. Now, if you can still remember, we define the website as the collection of related pages, right? Where we have the home page, we have the about us page and other pages. We'll also talk about different languages that are responsible for the development of the front end and the back end of the website. So for the front end, we have learned HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then for the back end, we are going to apply a different language or 2 different languages, which we are starting with the first one today, which is Introduction to PHP. That's right. But before that, let's look at what is the back end of a website. Let us understand what the back end of a website is all about. Make sure that you write your notes, either electronically or through paper. It's a website back end is the administrative section. Is the administrative section of the website. Website section is the administrative section of a website. Administrative section of a website that administers the entire front end activities. That administers the entire front end activities. So what we are saying here logically is that a back end is like your bedroom, while the front end is your sitting room. You know, most time we take our quality time to decorate our sitting room, right, than our bedroom. The reason is that we are expecting visitors to access that sitting room, but you are not actually expecting visitors to access your website back end, which is like the bedroom. Now, if I ask us now, between the bedroom and the sitting room, which one is more important? Sitting room is more important. Are you sure? We all agree with that sitting room is more important? So I'm using that scenario so that we know how to picture the level of effort we should put in when developing the front end and the level of effort we should put in when also developing the back end of your website. Are we together? So now I want us to take note of this. Remember that when you were in the front end, there was this common tech term that you must have probably used, is what? UI what? US. The word UI means what? User what? Interface what? Development. How many of us are aware that what we are actually doing with HTML, CSS falls under what? Developing what? Users interface application. You agree with me? Because you are only trying to make sure that the users have what? Good experience. That is the US. The US there represents what? Users experience. So which means that you were more focused on enticing the users with your color and every other thing, right? At the front end. But for back end, yes, your back end can look creative, but that is not the priority. That is why I define it as the section of the website that administers what? The front end. Once your website has a form that people will fill, you must make provision for what? Database. And once there is database, then automatically you have implemented what? Back end. You must have been wondering when people fill the form and click on submit, right? Where did those information goes to? You know, the form, they will disappear. They will actually go to what? To the back end. And in that back end, there is a place called storage. And that place was developed with one of the back end language called what? SQL. That is why you are learning PHP and what? MySQL together as the two languages for the back end development. One is in charge of processing data into the database, while the other one is in charge of what? Creating and managing what? The database. Exactly. Why should I learn PHP? Because I need to program instructions or command that will process data from the front end to the what? To the back end database. So let's quickly look at the definition of PHP. What is PHP? PHP, the full meaning, let's start with the full meaning. The full meaning of PHP is peripheral hypertext preprocessor. The full meaning of PHP is what? Peripheral hypertext preprocessor. Pre-processor or processor. That is the full meaning of what? PHP. Now let's look at the definition. PHP is one of the popular server-side scripting language. PHP is one of the popular server-side scripting language. It is mainly used as a back-end, as a website back-end development language. It is mainly used as a website back-end development language, which is used to process, underline, to process data into the back-end database, which is used to process data into the back-end database. Now, let's quickly look at some of the key points of this programming language. When we say key points or key attributes, we are talking about what and what actually what makes up this language. Number one, and where it's being used. Number one, PHP is a web development programming language which is used to create dynamic websites. It's used to create dynamic websites. is used to create dynamic websites. So we have to understand that now that we know what it does, I have already summarized the function. Those forms that you have in your website, you must make arrangements how they are going to submit whatever the users would enter into them to the back end. Because at the end of the day, the administrator, the admin of that website is expected to see the name and other information the form will have what collected and submitted to the respective database. Now, PHP is an open source. Let's still add that as one of the key points. PHP is an open source programming language. Why did we say it is an open source? Because it is free to download on the internet. It is free to download on the internet. All right, so what I am going to focus on is an open source programming language. That is, it is free to download on the internet. Now, I want to explain what we are going to achieve. What we are going to achieve in this section is how to set up our system. The process to configure your system for back-end development is not as simple as the way it was when you were writing with what? HTML and CSS. In fact, the reason why some persons have issue with the back end is they don't even know how to set up their system for back end what development. So the whole of this class, outside the definition, the rest of the thing we are going to talk about is what? How do we set up our system? So we have to connect our system to internet because we are going to be downloading and installing extensions. Let's get that ready. All right, so you can take note of the step. If you cannot follow me as I'm doing it, make sure you document your steps so that you can implement them later. Now, let's go back to our notes while you are getting your internet ready. Let's go back to our notes. Let's have some updates. Remember that the first definition I gave us, I mentioned the word server-side, right? I mentioned the word server-side. That PHP is one of the most used words, server-side programming language when it comes to web development. But before I proceed, I want us to understand this. It's not only PHP that the language for the back-end development. We have Python. You can use Python with the help of the Django. You can use Python framework. You can use Node.js. We have Ruby. We have so many languages that can be used to develop the back-end. But our NIT standard is to use what? PHP. So why I have to tell you those other ones? So that in case you are done with us and you feel like you want to learn another back-end language, you are free to go ahead and learn it elsewhere. Now, being a server side, it means that what we need a server. That word is not just used. When you say that a programming language is a server side, it means that it's a programming language that cannot run on its own. It requires a server. The server is just like an engine that empowers it underground. I hope you are with me. It's an engine. So we are going to start with installing a server. Why? We are going to install a local server. So for us to be able to develop the back end of our website, we need to start with what? Configuring a local server in our system. You know why? The local server will give us the online service depending on when we are going to host the website on the internet. I hope you have followed. You have to listen very well. This is not HTML. This is not HTML. You have to pay attention. Otherwise, you end up being what? Just front-end developer. And there's nothing wrong with it. That is the area some people specialize on. It's only in Nigeria that and other undeveloped country that one person will develop front end and what? Back end. You travel outside this country now, they will not allow you to be in charge of all the ends. You either focus on front end or what? Back end. So which means that you can be working with one company as a front end developer and then another company as what? Back end developer, if you know both. Pay attention. I started by saying, document whatever I am saying. Now, I will try to tell us that we need to start by setting up a server. Because right now, we have not hosted, and even we have hosted our website. Then I will have said that, okay, let us use the server, the remote server that will have been given to us. Because after the whole activity, we are going to buy space, buy file, and then that file will come with what? The remote server. But for now that we are still developing locally, we have to set up what? A local server on our system. So how do we set up a local server, and what is the name of the server application you have to install? So write your notes now, how to set up a PHP local server. How to set up PHP local server. So step number 1, open a browser. Open a browser. Step number 1, open what? A browser. Step number 1, open a browser. Open what? A browser. So if you are on the internet, you can start opening your browser. Mine is coming up. Right. So once you have opened your browser, you will now search for XAMPP server. XAMPP server. Search for XAMPP server. XAMPP server. Once you type XAMPP, just type XAMPP or you add server. Now this is the server. You download it. Yes. But all there, let me know. I want to take it slow and steady. But once you cannot set up this, you can never call yourself back-end developer. You end up designing the front end. You pay somebody else to add the back end for you. Right? So let's look at the full meaning of the XAMPP. This is actually an acronym. So you need to understand the representation of each of the alphabets. That is what will give you a deep insight what you are doing. So the word XAMPP, the X, let's start with the X. The X there represent cross-platform. The X represent cross-platform. Have we written that? Cross-platform. That is what the S represents. The A represents Apache. The A represents Apache. Apache is spelled A-P-A-C-H-E. Apache. Why the Apache? A-P-A-C-H-E. Apache. Have you written that? The M represents MySQL. The M represents what? MySQL. My X, the S, that is MySQL. MySQL. Have you written that? MySQL. Then the first P, you know there are two P there. The first P represents PHP. And then the second P represents Perl, P-E-R-O-L. Now, let me explain to you, now that you know the full meaning of those acronyms. Now, look up. You see, this is like an app. It is a package that comes with what? PHP inside it. From the acronym that I just explained now, you know that what? There's PHP inside it, right? And there's also what? SQL inside it. So let's define it. What is the XAMPP server? XAMPP server is a package that has PHP and MySQL inside it. It's a package that has PHP and MySQL inside it. It's a package that has what? PHP and MySQL inside it. So as we are downloading and installing it, that is going to give us what? A local what? Database. A local database. So you can say right as what? It serves as a local server that offers us PHP MyAdmin. Write it. Yes. It serves as a local server that offers us PHP MyAdmin for database. MyAdmin. When will you be available? You're available now. Yes. It serves as a local server for PHP MyAdmin. As the backend or database. All right. So let's go ahead and download it now. Let's go ahead and download. Let us go ahead and download. Once the downloading process is completed, we will now do the installation, we will now do the configuration. Then we will now also link it with Visual Studio Code. Yeah, let me see what my own will bring out, whether I'll be able to guide you. Let's look at the installation. So once you have downloaded the XAMPP server, you proceed with the installation. To install it, just go to your download folder. Just go to your download folder. Then double click on that file. Double click on that file. then accepts the security alert. Then allow it to open the installer. So you will notice it's just, if your own is not ready, just continue with the step, writing the steps. Now, look up, you are going to get this message. If you get this message, there shouldn't be an issue. But what actually is causing this message is what we call UAC, User Account Control. It's one of the Windows security features that check whatever installation, that check whether you are authorized to install. So it is that feature that is working. So just click OK. Just click OK. It will bypass it and then select Next. Then select Next. Just a minute. I think I'll actually speak with you. All should be ready now. Have you? Stay downloading. Okay. Please, let's all be on the same page. So if you wrongly set it up, you might end up formatting your laptop where anyone else can enter. So that's what everybody should do the right thing. Now, here you choose the folder, but let's leave it as the default directory, which is drive C. And then you click on Next. Then choose English. Click on Next. Then click on the Ready, and then you click on Install. You allow the process to continue. Let's hold on for installation to complete. All right, let's look at this. Once you have this security message, just click on Allow Access. I don't know if I did before. Allow access, in order to allow the installation to complete. How many people have gotten to where I am? So finish. So with that, you have installed the server. Now the next thing is for us to set up PHP extensions in our development environment, which is the Visual Studio Code. That is the next thing. Good. So with this, you are good to go. But for now, you will just start it. How do we start? Each time you want to develop your back end, just as the way you normally call out your root folder in Visual Studio Code. Anytime you want to add to the website that you are developing the back end, you must come here and start the Apache and what? The MySQL only. Write it down. Normally, if it doesn't open by itself, let's say you come tomorrow now, it's not going to open by itself like this. So the way you call it out, just come to your search bar. Let me close it now. Let's say you come tomorrow, you want to continue from where you stop. You come to the search bar, just type what? SAM. You will see SAM control. SAM control. You will see what? SAM control. So once you click, it will not take you to that environment you are. Then from here, you have to start the Apache. Apache is the server itself. So if the Apache is not on, nothing will be able to do. So the MySQL is to give us the PHP admin for database. So the order at which you start this is that you start the Apache first. Make sure that the Apache is successfully started before you start what? MySQL. Don't click on both of them at the same time. So let me click on my Apache. It will give you, how do you know that it started? You will see what? Port ID and what? Ports. Once these two columns have value, it means it started. Then you can now proceed to what? Starting the SQL. Then the SQL must also have its own port and its own what? ID as well. While you are running this, if any of these things show like red, allow. So you cannot run two SQL package in the same laptop. That's why you have to call with my other laptop. Because the other one I'm using it for data analytics SQL. It's not allowed. You can only use one port to anchor SQL. So just make sure why I'm saying this is that don't go and download another SQL application on that laptop for now until you are done with your back-end development. Now, for you to now go to the back-end, this is the local back-end. This is how, once you have hosted your website, the service this is offering us is part of the package that you must have paid for. To that point now, you will neglect this one because you've been working with the remote. Now, how do you now enter the database? You click on this my SQL admin, not Apache what? Admin. So once I click here now, that is going to take me to what? To the back end where we are going to create our database and where we are going to speak the SQL. Let's also confirm that before we go to the final aspect of this section, how to configure extensions in your Visual Studio Code, which is your development environment. So after the installation, if you are not able to see the back end I'm looking up to now, it means the program was not properly installed. So this is the back end database. Every website you see, those forms that you are filling and submitting, this is where they are coming. This is how the back end looks like. So now with this, I have confirmed. Another way, again, I can launch this if I don't want to go through this. Once we have started this, just open a browser and type what? Localhost. You can just open any browser on the system. That's after you have started the server. Just type localhost. This is another way you can access that end. Just type what? Localhost. That will take you to this SAM interface. So what I'm showing you now is that admin, I don't want to start the server and click on that admin beside the SQL. I don't know if anybody is getting what I'm saying. Admin, I don't want to come and click here to access that backend. So I can just start this, and then open a browser. So what this particular admin did now is what I want to achieve by just typing what? Localhost. Then when it opens it like this, then what you are going to do is to click on the PHP what? My admin. So that is the admin you selected over there now from that panel. So this will give you an equivalent interface. Still not the same. So it's either you start the server, like this. Then after you have started this and this, you what? You click on this admin, or you start this and this, then just minimize it. Open a browser, type localhost, then click on what? PHP my admin. So once that is able to bring you here, that is a confirmation that you have your local database and your local what? Server running. So this is where we will now be developing and be confirming everything before you put it online. All those forms that you have in your website, if they cannot submit to this local server, just forget about it. They will not submit to what? Remote server. So the last thing we want to look at is how do we now install PHP in our Visual Studio Code, right? Configuring PHP extensions in your development environment, in brackets, you write VS Code, configuring PHP extensions in your development environment, in brackets, you write Visual Studio Code. So setting up the server is one thing, then you need to also install what PHP server here. You know, just like, pay good attention. It's just like, hello, it's just like when we are writing HTML, we install some extension, live server, right? So you are not going to use live server to run PHP file. Live server is just for running HTML what? File. The moment the file ends with .php, then you must use PHP server. So I'm going to show all the manual method. If you don't want to do everything you want to do now, there's a manual way you can be accessing all your files. That is for those of us that our system could not accept this, because sometimes from experience, some people directly will have been corrupted that all this you want to install now will not work. So we'll now ask them to use the manual to be checking what they are doing. So once you come here, the first thing you are going to do is to install PHP extension in the Windows environment variable before you even come here. That's the first we are going to do. That's the first. So write it as part of the first step. How to write what? Install PHP extension in the Microsoft Windows environment variable. I hope you got that. Install PHP extension in the Microsoft Windows environment variable. So environment variable is where you have all the languages extensions installed. So by default, PHP extension is not here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get that extension installed. So make sure that you write your step the way you will understand it. Now, look up. We are not coming to Visual Studio Code for that first. So the first step is for you to click on your Window Explorer to open up your folder. That's your first step. Sub-steps under how to install PHP extension in what? Windows environment variable. Open your System Explorer, then you go to local disk or click on this PC, open local disk. From local disk, this is the XAMPP folder. The server you install, we have a folder here. Now, when you open this XAMPP folder, you will see different files here like this. Then you will now go down to PHP. Can you see PHP folder? You open this PHP folder. Make sure that you are looking at the particular one I am clicking on. When you open this PHP folder, while you are inside this PHP folder, you go down to the one that have this extension, that have application. Can you see it? You know, the icon is different from others. So you just select it. Once you click on it, look up, just click on it and touch this place. So you copy this URL. That is what you now go and put in the environment variable now. So I have to go through this so that I can get the URL. Now, once you have copied it, then you will now go to your Windows search bar here. Search for, what's the name again? Environment, right? Just type environment. By the time you type environment, you are going to see what? Edit what? Edit system what? Environment. You click on it. Now, once you click on it, it will bring out a dialog box like this. So from this dialog box, we are going to where? Environment what? Variable. Now, from environment variable, we will now go to path. Look up, pay attention here. You subscribe to my YouTube page, this video will be uploaded there. You can watch it again. Now, look up here. Here, as you can see, we have two sections. We have this, we have what? This. There are two different things. Don't come and put it under what? The part you have under what? System variable. We are putting it under what? User what? Variable. So you click on parts, then you click on edit. Now, why you did that is that you want to check whether you already having the PHP there. You can see that what there is no extension what PHP here. So you now click on what new. You now click on new. That is you want to add it. That one that you copy, you will now what Control V. Then you will now what commit it, and then click on what OK, and then exit. Click on the general OK. So with that, you have PHP extension. You finally click on OK again. So with that, you have already what added. Now, if you want to check whether it's there already now, because you can go through that process, it might not be there. Maybe you not click on one of the apply or one of the OK. You'll not be thinking that it's there. You can just go back. What did you do again? Search for what? Environment, right? Click on what? This system environment. Then from here, the second tab, we are taking it now. You navigate to what? Environment variable. From here, you click on what? Paths. Click on what? Edit. Can you see that? It's there now. So you must come back like this to be sure. Because if it's not here, your Visual Studio Code will not acknowledge it. When you want to run PHP file, Visual Studio Code will tell you that what? PHP not found. Right? Now, the next thing you are going to do once you have achieved this is for you to create your project folder. You see, the logic have changed. You know, when you were creating, when you want to start a project or front end, you just created your folder on desktop, right? And then you now added which other folder? Picture, folder, and others, right? Now, any project you are going to be developing now must be developed inside the server. You have to be running it from the server because now you have stopped the server. So how do you start your project? To start your project, you click on the Window Explorer, go towards this PC, then open the local disk. What are we looking for? The XAMPP server. When you enter inside the XAMPP server, you now go toward htdocs. That is where your project should be. htdocs. When you open the htdocs, you see all this that you meet here. You must not delete anything. If you like, you can eat over food now, overeat there and delete something. You will start the whole process again. Now, you add your own, you create your project folder. Now, that project that you have developed, that front end that says you go and work on. The next class, I will show us how you can convert it to what? To this, how you can put it in this server so that you don't start afresh. But let's assume that I want to start a new project. I'll go through this step. Click on new. What you are supposed to do now to pay attention. Click on new. Let's say what? I want to start my web underscore project, or maybe this is a Mukaela website. You type the person's name. You know, you open it. As usual, we now create what? Other folder inside. CSS folder, JavaScript folder, just like the way you were working the other time. Then I'll open this again. You are not looking, no. Then I'll say what? CSS. You create all those other folder. Where you need to add images to your image folder, you do all that. Create your IMG folder, and then all of that. When you are done like this, you exit here. You now go to your Visual Studio Code now. You saw the way we used to call the folder in now. So we now call the folder in. How do we call the folder in? We go to File, right? And then we go to what? Open what? Folder. From Open Folder, I am now going to reference that what? Local disk first, because I must locate that SAM. From local disk, then go to where? Local disk. From here, go to where? SAM. From XAMPP, you go to where? htdocs. From htdocs, you just select that your folder name like this. You open it. Then you click what? Select folder. Automatically, it will what? Launch it here. So let's wait for it to come. All right, so you have it here now. Now, you now create your first PHP file. Inside this main page, you click there. Inside the main page, you click there. Just like what we normally do now, you create what? A file. You name that file index. So now you are using a technology, PHP, to create your website. No longer HTML, not .html again. It will now be what? .php. Now, the moment you type .php, you see the elephant what? Icon to tell you that what is the giant when it comes to anything backend. Forget about all this Python, Node.js. They are new systems. They've not really gained ground like what PHP. PHP is still leading. Now, you cannot create your first file. We have a tag. We have a tag here. You can actually create your HTML inside PHP. We'll talk about that in the next class. PHP can embed what? HTML. But HTML cannot, you can run HTML inside PHP, but you cannot run PHP inside what? HTML. So right now, which language is running this HTML? It's PHP, right? Now, PHP now have its own tag, which is what we are going to work with in the next class. So if I come here now and say what? If I come here now, sorry, and open this exclamation mark, open it up here, and then open it up. So this is PHP tag. The way you have HTML tag, this is PHP tag. This is PHP what? Opening tag, while this is what? PHP what? Closing tag. So all your PHP code must be written here. So for example, now we just came from JavaScript. If I say how to create a variable now, name, and then I say what? Equals to, and then I put what? Prosper inside. And then in PHP, for you to display it, you know in JavaScript, we say that you display with what? Alert, right? Document dot. But in PHP, you use what? Echo. Echo. See the term now? Echo. No longer alert again. Document dot. Echo. That's the language you be hearing now. Echo what? The variable name, which is what? Name. And then you end it. Now, if I run this file now, I've not installed what? PHP server. So that will not take us to how to install what? PHP server. You know, you cannot right click now. You cannot even see that live server again because this is not HTML what? File. So we are going to install its own equivalent to what? Live server. Are you following? Now, to install it, what is showing this is that you have not saved. So we have to what? Make sure that we set our editor to what? Auto save so that this icon will disappear. Now, how do we install the server? We install the PHP server now. We go to the extension, the way we install live server. Click on this extension, type PHP server. PHP server. You are going to see there, PHP server. PHP server. Where is it? Good. You click on install. Once it complete installation, you are going to see the icon somewhere here. So I'll select what? Trust. Or you trust the publisher. So once that installation is complete, we will go and launch the file, whether we will see it. There is one more thing we are going to do before we bring the class to end. Installation is still in progress. Perfect. Now, let's go back to our file now, the PHP file. Can you see this icon? This icon was not there before. Right? Now, if I want to launch my file, instead of me right-clicking, you can right-click and then select what? Server what? Project. You can also click here, direct to launch it. Now, what is it showing you now? PHP not found because we have not stopped. This is the reason why you went there to put that that extension in the environment variable to avoid this issue. Now, how I'm going to solve this issue? I've already added the roots. So the issue is here because there's a default extension that cannot work with the server. So we have to install the one that the server will work with. So we have to install what we call PHP IntelliSense. PHP IntelliSense extension. Now, how do we install it? Go to the extension again. You now type PHP IntelliFence. PHP IntelliFence. IntelliFence. PHP, oh, sorry. PHP IntelliFence. Now, when you click on this PHP IntelliFence, it's going to give you this information. Now, we have to stop the one that is not allowing the one we added to environment variable to run. How do we stop it? You go down. You go down, 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 go down, go down, go down, go down, go down. Let me see. Something I want to show us here. Go to let me see. I'm trying to get what I click on is not IntelliFence, it's Laravel what? IntelliFence. So I selected the wrong one. No wonder I could not see what I'm looking for. So go down, 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 down. Now, good. Can you see this piece now? When you go down, you have to disable the built-in VS Code PHP what language feature to allow the one you installed in what the environment what variable to work. So how do you do that? You copy this code here at built-in. Just take it at built-in, then paste it here before you come back to continue with the installation. So paste it here, and then you will see these two options. We have basic what. Now look at this here. What did they say we should disable? They say what? Disable the built-in what? This that's what feature. If you read through, you say what? Disable under basic. Let's see whether we get instruction here. But if you click here, let's see. Click here, and then it's already enabled. So when you are saying enable, disable, mean that what is enabled. So just like here now, when you are saying disable, it means that what is what enable, which means that what both of them are on. So we have to stop one. We have to stop the one under language feature because that was what they mentioned that we have to disable. Because we copy that attribute. So you now click here and select what? I wanted to say. So you now click here and select what? Disable. Now you can see that what? As you select disable, is now showing what? Enable. Now when it's showing enable, it means that what? It's disabled. When it's showing you disable, it means that what? Is enable. Now, once you have done that, you cannot go back properly and install the PHP IntelliFence now. So we actually use that IntelliFence to know what we have to turn off first. So we'll now go back now. This is the last thing we are going to do. After this, we will restart this program and try launching that file again. We will not get that what PHP not found. So let me do that. So now I can install PHP what IntelliFence properly. And trust the publisher. So let's wait for it to show install before we proceed. So now it's showing disable, which means that was installed. Now let's go to that file again. Let's try launching that PHP file. Look up, let's run it again. We are getting an error somewhere here. What is it saying? Unexpected word echo. Let it even run first. What will debug? So when it's still showing you like this, what you do is this: you stop, you restart the Visual Studio Code. If after restarting the Visual Studio Code, if it doesn't work, you restart your system, which means that it has not connected to the one you installed there. But let me just start by restarting the Visual Studio Code first. So once you are able to launch the PHP file, then you have successfully set up your PHP for your back-end development. This one will not be. All right, so now let's run it again. Let's run it again. Can you see what is happening now? It's not telling us PHP not found, so it's loading the file now. Let's see. Server starting, so we can see that now starting the what? The PHP. So we should be able to see the back end, sorry, the front end. Okay, so with this we have confirmed. Now the issue we are having is from our PHP tag. That is, and it says what? Line 10. Let's go to line 10. Where is line 10? Line 10. We have let me rewrite it and see. You can actually write the whole of your PHP before the HTML. I'll put a tag here like this. Let's question mark PHP. Let's name equals to Oscar. Echo name. Then close the tag. Question. Let me put F name. So just try and get to this place now. Let me see why I rectify. I want to see why it shows this error. All right, so now let's output it. Now look at this here. In PHP, you have to add $sign before you create your variable. That is what dollar. Your variable should carry what? $sign. And then the same thing when you want to output it, you output it with the same $sign. That is sheet 4. Then now let's go and run it again and see whether we get that information. What we are supposed to see is what? We are supposed to see prosper as a value when it's eventually open. Now it's telling us that that file is already open. In this case, now you right click and select open file in another browser so that it will open a different one for you. So you can see we have Prosper here, but we did not, we have this one here that we did not remove. That is why it's showing together with it. So we remove it. So if I go back there now, I should be having what? Just Prosper. So with this, I have already what? Now let's assume, listen, let's assume that is after 12. So we'll see in the next class. So your assignment is for you to make sure that you set up to this place. You said what?